hold on one second. Sergeant Arms, please call our December 17, 2024 council meeting to order. I would like to recognize our chaplain of the day, Pastor Daniel Frizzell, the pastor of Iglesia Manantial de Vida, the chaplain coordinator for the Shelby County Sheriff's Department, and a patrolman for the Shelby County Sheriff's Department. Invited by Councilman Carlisle, Pastor Frizzell, please lead us in prayer.
I invite everybody here to join me. Heavenly Father, I thank you today for the opportunity you've given me to bless this meeting with prayer. Lord, we thank you for our leaders, and your word says that it pleases you that we pray for them, and we do pray for them today that you would give them extraordinary wisdom. Lord, that you would give everyone that's here today that's going to participate, speak, clarity of thought, clarity of expression to express those thoughts. Lord, we just pray that everyone here would have peace in their hearts and that they would be able to understand and to accept decisions that are made. We thank you for your presence in our lives. We give you praise today for this time. In Jesus' name, amen.
Councilman Carlisle, you're recognized.
Thank you. Thanks, Ronella. Pastor Frizzell, if you'll come here real quick. We've got a little acknowledgement, but mainly thank you for your service to the men and women of the Sheriff's Department, to Shelby County, and all that you do, even throughout the prison system and the jail east, overseeing all of those duties. This is by the City Council. Be it hereby known that Pastor Daniel Frizzell, in recognition of a life of exemplary qualities, outstanding service to the city, meritorious involvement in humanitarian affairs, and demonstrated concern for governmental process, has been appointed Chaplain of the Day by the Memphis City Council, and is hereby entitled to all the honors, rights, privileges, and prerogatives appertaining to the office, and to display the certificate given under this seal the 17th day of 2024 to Chairman Smiley and Member Chase Carlisle. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank you
it.
for service. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for being here today and praying with us and over us. And I echo Councilman Carlisle for your service to the Shelby County Sheriff's Department. Madam Comptroller, please call the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Councilmember Carlisle. Here. Cooper Sutton. Present. Easter Thomas. Present. Ford. Present. Green. Present. Logan. Present. Spinoza. Here. Swearingen Washington. Present. Walker. Present. Warren. Present. White. Present. Smiley. Chairman Canale.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Comptroller. I believe Vice Chair-elect Swearingen Washington has read the meeting minutes for December 3rd, 2024 meeting. Vice Chair-elect, you are recognized.
Thank you, Chair. I have reviewed the minutes and find them to be in order. I move for the adoption of the December 3rd, 2024 minutes.
Item was moved by Swearingen Washington, seconded by Spinoza. Madam Comptroller, please prepare the voting screen for the same night minutes.
Canale, yes. Carlisle, yes. Cooper Sutton, yes. Easter Thomas, yes. Please show Councilmember Ford as voting yes. Green, yes. Logan, yes. Spinoza, yes. Swearingen Washington, yes. Walker, yes. Warren, yes. Please show Councilmember White as voting yes. Chairman Canale, yes.
That item passes. Welcome to the December 17, 2024 regular meeting of the Memphis City Council. Meetings of the council shall be conducted in an orderly manner to ensure the public has the full opportunity to be heard and the deliberate process of the council is retained at all times. The Sergeant at Arms has meeting agendas available up front, as well as comment request cards for the members of the public wishing to be heard on a specific item. All those wishing to speak on an item must turn in their comment card to the Sergeant-at-Arms before the item is called. If you are here to speak on a specific item, you can note your request to give general comment. If you're here not to speak on a specific item, you can note your request to give general comment at the end of the meeting. As chair, I will only recognize citizens that properly register to speak by submitting a completed comment request card to the Sergeant-at-Arms. Members of the audience and persons addressing the council will not be permitted to engage in gossip, make defamatory, personal, slanderous, or profane comments, or use abusive or vulgar language. The chairperson of the council may maintain order by giving any persons who are in violation of the stated rules of decorum a warning to cease any violative conduct in order to leave the council chambers, or by giving an order for security personnel to remove any disruptive person in the council chambers who refuses to leave voluntarily. These rules are posted on the doors as you enter the chamber and as you pick up comment cards. Item 8 will be held till January 7, 2025. Item 22 will be held till February 4th, 2025. Item 24 will be held till July 8th, 2025. Item 4 has been withdrawn. Madam Comptroller, please call item number 1.
Item number 1 is a resolution congratulating Memphis Academy of Science and Engineering on their Tennessee Class 1A football state championship title. This resolution is sponsored by Councilwoman White.
Councilwoman White, you're recognized.
Champs are here.
The champ is here! The champ is here!
Come on down.
The champ is here! 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 The champ is here!
Yeah. Okay, and now that everybody's present, I'm back to bringing gifts. I am everybody's present, and I'm the one smoking that shit that everybody's smelling. So you ain't gotta guess it, that's him. Watch out, and I'm the champion. Overdose flow, overdose slow, comatose. Whoa, that's a knockout. Don't make me hop out, pull a Glock out. Watch out for I let Will show you what the shop out. And BC's and the other all we see.
The champs are here.
All right.
Whereas the Memphis Academy of Science and Engineering Mace High School football team has achieved an extraordinary milestone by competing in and winning the state championship, marking a historic first state championship in the school's history. And whereas founded in 2003, Mace holds the distinction of being the first charter school in the state of Tennessee, with the school establishing its athletics program in 2017. And whereas the Mace Phoenix participated in the Blue Cross Bowl Class 1A final at Finley Stadium in Chattanooga, Tennessee on Friday, December 6, 2024, the Mace Phoenix defeated the South Pittsburgh Pirates with a score of 36-14 in the championship game. You want to read?
Okay, where are we going right here? Whereas the Memphis Academy of Science and Engineering Phoenix football team under the leadership of Coach Cedric Miller finished the 2024-25 season with an impressive 13-1 record. A testament of their dedication and hard work, and whereas this achievement reflects the unwavering commitment
of the coaching staff, students, athletic director, Mr. Julius Jackson, high school director, Mr. Michael Green, and executive director, Mr. Roderick Gaston, who has instilled in the mantra, best in the standard, within the school's community. And there you go.
And whereas the Mace football team has not only demonstrated athletic excellence, but has also inspired students, families, and the broader community to embrace perseverance, teamwork, and a shared vision for success. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Memphis City Council extends heartfelt congratulations to the Memphis Academy of Science and Engineering football team for their 2024-25 state championship title and commend them for their dedication, resilience, and the pride they bring to their school and the entire Memphis community. Thank you. We are so proud. Would you all like to say something? And we have certificates for each one of you all, as well as this resolution.
Good afternoon. First of all, on behalf of the Mace family, we'd like to thank the City Council and the City of Memphis for your unwavering support over this past season. It was great to represent Memphis, and not only just Mace, we represent the 901. And so it was great to go to Chattanooga to get that victory and come back home to the best city in the country. So thank you guys for your support.
Good evening, good afternoon. My name is Coach Cedric Miller, the head coach, and I just want to say thank you for everybody for the recognition. These young gentlemen have worked hard all year through the trials and tribulation of a football season to come out on top, to be the first charter school in the state of Tennessee to do it. Speaks volumes about what these young men are doing inside the classroom and on the field, and we just want to say thank you.
That item was moved by Logan, seconded by Warren. Please show that approved by acclamation, Madam Comptroller. Congratulations again. Job well done. Madam Comptroller, please call item number 2.
Item number 2 is a resolution honoring Dana Jeans, 37 years of service to Memphis Light, Gas, and Water and the City of Memphis. This resolution is sponsored by Councilman Spinoza and Councilwoman Walker.
Councilman Spinoza and Councilwoman Walker, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We're going to wait for the MLGW team. Y'all want to come stand with us? Yeah. All right, so thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's an honor for me to be here today and recognize Dana as a city councilman, as a Memphian, and as the chairman of the MLGW committee. So I'm going to get to it, and Vice Chair Councilwoman Walker will join me here and help read this as well. So, whereas, when worthy circumstances arise, the Memphis City Council has seen fit to honor citizens who have served this community, such as Dana Jeans, whose extraordinary service, dedication, innovation, and leadership while serving as Senior Vice President, Chief Financial Officer, and Secretary-Treasurer of Memphis Light, Gas, and Water Division has etched him into the history books of the nation's largest three-service municipal utility in this great city. And whereas, as a Tennessee native, Dana holds a Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering from Christian Brothers University, a Master of Business Administration from the University of Memphis, and is the only known person in the entire state of Tennessee who holds both a professional engineer and certified public accountant license.
It sounds boring to me, but I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Yeah, right. I'm sorry. And has been an instrumental and invaluable employee of Memphis Light, Gas, and Water Division, and a friend as well. Councilwoman.
Thank you. Whereas Dana James began his career at Memphis Light, Gas, and Water Division in 1987 as an energy engineer and served in various important roles at the division, such as rates engineer, assistant manager of budget, plant and rates, manager of budget, director of strategy, analysis and performance, financial controller, vice president and chief financial officer and secretary treasurer, interim chief utility officer, and finally, senior vice president, chief financial officer, and chief administrative officer and secretary treasurer. And whereas Dana James was responsible for financial planning, financial reporting, fiscal execution of division and annual budgets that now exceed $2.5 billion annually, involving over 2,600 team members, and for fiscal and fiduciary responsibilities as a pension and other post-employee trust board member involving assets of almost $2.4 billion of market value that provide benefits to over 2,700 retirees and beneficiaries additionally. Dana was also an important member and contributor to numerous utility industry professional organizations such as the Tennessee Municipal Electric Power Association, the Tennessee Valley Public Power Association, and the Seven States Power Corporation, serving in various capacities such as board member, committee member, and other advisory roles. Dana was also instrumental in completing the historic electric prepay agreement with the Tennessee Valley Authority, TVA, which saved customers over $250 million over the life of the agreement in negotiating the TVA transmission credit, which today is valued at $40 million per year. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Memphis City Council honors and congratulates Dana James for his extraordinary service and contributions to the customers of Memphis Light, Gas, and Water Division, and contributions to the citizens of Memphis, adopted on this day, Tuesday, December 17th, 2024. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Sure. Well, thank you so much. This means a lot, this recognition over this career that I've had. I worked with a number of city council members over the years. I was just reflecting the other day, since I've been the chief financial officer for 13 years, that I've been to over 300 city council meetings, and this is my last one. So, but thank you so much for this recognition. I really appreciate it. It means a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jeans, for your dedicated service. You've truly been an asset to MLGW. We're going to miss you, but we hope you enjoy your retirement.
Madam Comptroller, please call item number 3.
Item number 3 is a resolution recognizing and honoring Chief Paul Wright for his years of service with the Memphis Police Department. This resolution is sponsored by Councilman Canali.
Chairman-elect Ford Canale, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair-elect. Colleagues, what an honor it is, and a sad day, to introduce this to you. Deputy Chief Wright has certainly been devoted to the Memphis Police Department as he rose through the ranks, eventually to Deputy Chief. I had the privilege and honor of working with him several times a number of years ago when we were trying to pass some legislation to curb reckless driving and loud motor vehicles with aftermarket enhancements. Chief Wright, I can't tell you what you've meant to this city and to this body and to me as a friend. We're going to miss you tremendously, but we can never thank you enough for your years of service. Whereas the Memphis City Council recognizes the importance of honoring individuals who have dedicated themselves to serving the Memphis community, and Deputy Chief Paul Wright embodies such a person through his years of service and contributions to the Memphis Police Department, leaving a lasting and meaningful influence on both the Memphis Police Department and the city of Memphis, making him truly deserving of this recognition. And whereas the Memphis City Council recognizes the importance of honoring individuals who have dedicated themselves to serving the Memphis community, and Deputy Chief Paul Wright is certainly a worthy recipient of this distinction for his years of steadfast service and invaluable contributions to the Memphis Police Department, leaving a profound and lasting legacy on both the department and the city of Memphis. And whereas Deputy Chief Paul Wright graduated from White Station High School before joining the Memphis Police Department on January 16, 1989, as a police service technician, and entered the training academy as a recruit on November 2nd, 1990, graduating on May 8, 1991, and was assigned to uniform patrol to the East Precinct. And whereas Deputy Chief Paul Wright demonstrated unwavering dedication to law enforcement and public safety, excelling in various assignments, including the East Precinct Alpha Shift, North Precinct Alpha Shift, and the Organized Crime Unit, where he earned a reputation for integrity, and after progressing through the ranks from police officer to deputy chief, held key roles in the Homicide Unit, Felony Response Charlie Shift, Project Safe Neighborhoods, Felony Assault Unit, and Organized Crime Unit, Criminal Apprehension Team, among others. And
whereas Deputy Chief Wright's leadership journey began in the Organized Crime Unit in 1996, followed by promotions to Sergeant in 2000, Lieutenant in 2005, Major in 2013, and received a Bachelor of Science in Emergency Services in 2015 before being promoted to Colonel in 2016, where he commanded the Organized Crime Unit, ultimately being appointed Deputy Chief in 2019, overseeing uniform patrol and investigative services, significantly impacting the department's operations and enhancing public safety in Memphis. And whereas, over the course of his distinguished career, Deputy Chief Paul Wright displayed commendable leadership, mentorship, and unwavering commitment to serving the citizens of Memphis, fostering an environment of professionalism and public trust. And whereas, on the occasion of Deputy Chief Paul Wright's retirement, the Memphis City Council wishes to recognize and express its immense gratitude for Deputy Chief Paul Wright's tireless service, his dedication to law enforcement, and his countless contributions to the Memphis Police Department and the city of Memphis.
now therefore be it resolved that the Memphis City Council extends its deepest gratitude and congratulations to Deputy Chief Paul Wright for his 35 years of service and leadership to the Memphis Police Department, and wishes him a long, healthy, and fulfilling retirement, given by my hand and under the great seal of the city of Memphis on the 17th day of December. Chairman J.B. Smiley, Councilman J. Ford Canale. Chief, we'd love to hear a couple words from you, and I would love to hear from our police chief, C.J. Davis.
Thank you, Councilmember Canale and White. This is a bittersweet moment for the Memphis Police Department. My short time here, I have had the pleasure of working with someone who is a consummate professional every day, dedicated to the job, contributing new ideas, supporting and mentoring. We will sorely miss Paul Wright, but I know he's gonna miss us more. And we wish you the best. We love you, and we're always part of your family as well. Thank you.
floored. I don't know what to say. Thank you, Councilman Canale, Councilperson White, and the whole council. Appreciate this. You don't know how honored I am. It's almost just shy of 36 years being with you guys, and I've seen some good professional staff that worked alongside of me. And if not for these people, it wouldn't be a Paul right here. You know, I love the city, and I love what you all do for it as a council. You all keep fighting for our city. We need it. We most definitely need you all to fight. We need the citizens to be part of what we do, to get involved and work together with our police department to make it a lot better. It's so much that we can do as a city. So please keep working together. Just short, I was 18 when I came on the job, and I had my struggles as a young man. I'll tell anybody the story. But the opportunity was opened through the city, through the police department, police service technician program. I never thought I would go all the way up to a deputy chief position, but I did. I did with dedication and people. People seeing things in me that I didn't see in myself sometimes. But I thank you all. Be strong. I will continue to stay in this city, and I'm going to be supportive to it. Thank you, and good luck.
This item has been moved by Canale, seconded by White. Madam Comptroller, would you please prepare the screens to vote for item number 3?
Madam Chair, I showed that as unanimous vote.
All right. This item passes.
Madam Comptroller, please take us to item number 27.
Thank you. Item number 27 on our add-ons is a resolution accepting grant funds in the amount of $100,000 from Tennessee Department of Disability and Aging for renovation of the outdoor fitness area at McWhirter Senior Center, District 5, Super District 9. This resolution is sponsored by the administration, and there is a request for same-night minutes.
Councilman Warren, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The committee met recommended approval, and I so move.
Item was moved by Warren, seconded by Carlisle. Seeing no members in the queue, please prepare the voting screens for 27.
Carlisle, yes. Cooper Sutton, yes. Easter Thomas, yes. Ford, yes. Green, yes. Logan, yes. Spinoza, yes. Swearingen Washington, yes. Warren, yes. White, yes. Chairman Canale, yes.
That item passes. Madam Comptroller, please call item 28.
Number 28 is an appointment. Public Works Director Scott Morgan, and there is a request for same night minutes.
Councilwoman Easter Thomas, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. The committee recommends approval, and I so move.
Item was moved by Easter Thomas, seconded by Carlisle. Seeing no members in the queue, please prepare the voting screen.
Carlisle, yes. Cooper Sutton, yes. Easter Thomas, yes. Ford, yes. Green, yes. Logan, yes. Spinoza, yes. Swearingen Washington, yes. Walker, yes. Warren, yes. White, yes. Chairman Canale, yes.
That item passes. Congratulations to Mr. Morgan. Congratulations, Mr. Morgan. You want to say a few words?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, sir. Thank you, council. Really appreciate it. As I said this morning, look forward to working with you and continuing to move public works in the city forward. Appreciate your support and look forward to it.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
Madam Comptroller, please call item number 29.
Item number 29 is a resolution approving the nomination of Mr. Rodney Cleek to fill the position of Vice President, Chief Financial Officer, and Secretary Treasurer with an annual salary of $231,608. All council districts, this resolution is sponsored by the MLGW.
Councilman Spinoza.
There's a request for same night minutes.
Same night minutes, yep. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Committee met recommends approval, and I so move.
My screen is frozen. Item was moved by Spinoza. There we go. It's moved by Spinoza, seconded by Swearingen Washington. Council members, please cast your votes.
Carlisle, yes. Cooper Sutton, yes. Easter Thomas, yes. Ford, yes. Green, yes. Logan, yes. Spinoza, yes. Swearingen Washington, yes. Walker, yes. Warren, yes. White, yes. Chairman Canale, yes.
That item passes.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Mr. Cleek. Would you like to share some words with us, please, sir?
I just appreciate the opportunity to serve and look forward to serving with the council going forward, and I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Madam Comptroller, please call item number 30.
Item number 30 is a resolution approving to amend the American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA allocations. All council districts, this resolution is sponsored by Councilwoman White, and there is a request for same night minutes.
Councilwoman White, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chairman. So I'll just move it as amended.
Move it to the floor for, I can't see, my screen's frozen again.
Okay.
All right, item was moved by White, seconded by Spinoza. Do you want to go ahead and walk through the amendments?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
So we had $112,165 that was allocated to the crime lab feasibility that will now be allocated as $80,000 for a room in the inn, $32,165 for Memphis area legal services, $80,000 for chamber, for council chamber modification, $20,000 to MIFA, $10,000 to Hospitality Hub, $10,000 for April 4th Foundation, $5,000 for, okay, $20,000 for Mid-South Food Bank, $10,000 for Meriton. And $10,000 to the Black Memphis Chamber.
We can have copies of that passed out before we vote on same night minute items.
Yes.
All right, colleagues, the item was moved by White, seconded by Spinoza. So we are voting on the amended version of item number 30.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir, Councilman.
You said we will get copies?
We'll will get copies before we vote on the same minute items so you can review it.
Thank you.
Carlisle, yes. Cooper Sutton, yes. Easter Thomas, yes. Ford, yes. Green, yes. Logan, yes. Spinoza, yes. Swearingen, Washington, yes. Walker, yes. Warren, yes. White, yes. Chairman Canale, yes.
That item passes. Madam Comptroller, please take us to item number 9, to our consent agenda.
Item number 9 is an ordinance amending ordinance number 5367 of the Code of Ordinances, City of Memphis, Tennessee, adopted on August 10th, 2010, as amended, known as the Memphis and Shelby County Unified Development Code, to delete a section of the White Station Residential Corridor overlay up for first reading. This ordinance is sponsored by the Division of Planning and Development. The case number is RC 24-02. The ordinance number is 5925. Item number 10 from our Engineering Division is a resolution approving supplemental agreement number 1 for Whidden I-40 PUD Phase 25, a quick trip, store number 7154. The contract number is 5450, and there is a request for same night minutes. Mr. Chairman, that concludes our consent agenda items.
Thank you, Madam Comptroller. Vice Chair-elect Swearingen Washington, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The committee met. There was a favorable recommendation, and I so move.
Item was moved by Swearingen Washington, seconded by Carlisle. Please prepare the voting screen for the consent agenda.
Carlisle, yes. Cooper Sutton, yes. Easter Thomas, yes. Ford, yes. Green, yes. Spinoza, yes. Swearingen Washington, yes. Walker, yes. Warren, yes. Chairman Canale, yes.
That item passes.
Please show Councilmember White as voting yes on the consent agenda, please.
Madam Comptroller, please take us to our MLGW fiscal consent, starting with item 11, please.
Item number 11 is a resolution awarding purchase orders for the replacement of water well pumps and motor units to National Water Services in the amount of $236,355.22, and Environmental Supply, Inc., in the amount of $176,600. Item number 12 is a resolution approving change number 4 to contract number 12119, Professional Engineering Services for Gas Engineering and Operations with Fisher and Arnold, Inc., to renew the current contract in the funded not to exceed amount of $60,000. Item number 13 is a resolution approving change number 4 to contract number 12464, Samsara Fleet Safety and Track Solution with Samsara Incorporated, to ratify, renew, and change the scope of the current contract value in the funded amount of $801,001.92. Item number 14 is a resolution approving change number 4 to contract number 12202, Network Maintenance with Converge One, Inc., to renew and change the current contract in the funded amount of $1,166,935.71. Item number 15 is a resolution awarding contract number 12504, Veeam Backups and Replication, to Tate Computer Systems, Inc., in the funded amount of $581,097.50. Item number 16 is a resolution approving change number 1 to contract number 12545, Veritas Net Backup Renewal with Thomas Consultants, Inc., to extend and change the current contract in the funded amount of $215,757.90. Item number 17 is a resolution awarding purchase order for switchgears to Wesco Distribution, Inc., in the amount of $238,310. Item number 18 is a resolution approving the ratification of purchase order number 7063125 to AutoNation Ford Memphis for one-ton trucks with service bodies in the amount of $323,748. Item number 19 is a resolution approving change number 1 to contract number 12553, Well Lots Turf Management with Turf Doctors L&LM LLC to renew the current contract in the funded amount of $125,741.91. Item number 20 is a resolution approving change number 4 to contract number 12347, Temporary Employment Services for General Laborer Services with Millennium Search LLC to ratify and renew the current contract value in the funded amount of $1,500,000. And our final item is number 21, a resolution approving change number 4 to contract number 12186, Family Medical Leave Act with Unum Group to ratify and renew the current contract in the funded amount of $140,550. Mr. Chairman, that concludes our MLGW consent items.
Thank you, Madam Comptroller. Councilman Spinoza, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Committee met, recommends approval, and I so move.
Item was moved by Spinoza, seconded by Swearingen Washington. Seeing no members in the queue, please prepare the voting screen.
Canale, Carlisle, yes. Cooper Sutton abstained. Easter Thomas, yes. Ford, yes. Green, yes. Spinoza, yes. Swearingen Washington, yes. Walker, yes. Warren, yes. Chairman Canale, yes.
That item passes. Madam Comptroller, please take us to item number 5.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Item number 5 is a resolution approving the right-of-way vacation of Lafayette Place located between East Godwin Street and Lafayette Street. This resolution is sponsored by the Division of Planning and Development. It was held from December 3rd. The case number is SAC 23-04.
Councilman Ford Sr., you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. Committee met, sent this item downstairs with no recommendation to be heard. Applicant and planning zoning, y'all come up. We're going to give them 20 minutes, 10 minutes apiece. And if anyone want to save some of their time for rebuttal, you can. And we want to start. Okay, and I'll move.
Thank you, Councilman Ford. Is any council member requesting a presentation from DPD? Very good. Applicant, I'm going to give you, I don't know who's for and who's against. Ms. Reeves, name and address for the record, please. Madam Comptroller, please put 10 minutes on the clock.
Cindy Reeves, that's our consulting, 5909 Shelby Oaks Drive, Suite 200. I would like to give just a brief presentation before our supporters can speak, if that's okay with you, Chairman Canale.
I'll allow that.
Thank you. Have you got the presentation?
You can stop the clock, Madam Comptroller.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Welcome to Chickasaw Gardens, and I would like for everybody here that is in support of this application to please stand up. As you can see, we have overwhelming support, and this has been an ongoing application before you, and we appreciate you being so patient with us on this application. We are not trying to keep neighbors, pedestrians, the public, or anyone out of the neighborhood. We want everybody to enjoy the neighborhood, as you can see with the proposed openings. Next slide. The pedestrian gates are not gates anymore. They are now openings. They will be open 24/7. And they will also have cameras on them that will allow security to know when someone comes through the gate, and they can look at them and see if they belong in the neighborhood or if they don't. And then they can determine. They can determine if they're not doing anything.
Hold on 1 second, Ms. Reeves. So I'm going to give you one warning of an outburst. If there's another outburst, I'm going to have you escorted from this chamber. I just want to make everybody clear on this, and this is for both sides. You may proceed.
The purpose of this is to make everybody safe, not just Chickasaw Gardens. So we want the neighborhood, the abutting neighborhoods, to be safe. The next slide. This is a neighborhood that was established in 1926. As you can see, it has very windy roads. The reason for that is back in 1926, it was designed for buggies and carts, and that's how people would get around back then. They did not have cars. As you'll see on the adjacent subdivisions, they're in a grid pattern that is more appropriate for car traffic, whereas Chickasaw Gardens is not as appropriate for car traffic as the abutting neighborhoods and the abutting streets. Next slide. This is the original neighborhood plan that was approved in 1926. As you can see, the HOA was formed 2 years later, and then the HOA revised and replaced restrictions and covenants and conditions in 1988. We're proposing to convert the two streets in red as shown, and make them a pedestrian-friendly stub street. So neither of these entrances lead to the public park, which is why it's important that the 3 entrances in blue off of Central all lead you directly to the park. You do not have to wind through the neighborhood in order to get to the park whenever you go to the park from Central. Next slide. This is, of course, Chickasaw Gardens Park. It is a beautiful lake. It has walks and benches and fountains. There is no parking around the park, so if you are going to go by car to get to the park, you're going to park on the surrounding streets in the neighborhood. Those streets are very narrow, and that's where all the cars park that do want to go to the park. They have to park on the streets along with the maintenance people, anybody else that wants to park on the street, visitors, everybody that wants to do that. So next slide. This is a proposal of the Lombardi Road Street. It will be owned and maintained by the HOA. The rest of the subdivision will remain public. This will become a pedestrian priority street, and we feel that it is important in order for security to be able to monitor the neighborhood more safely by closing these 2 stub streets. Next slide is the next stub street. Closing these 2 stub streets, and then that focuses all of their patrolling and a lot of their attention to Central Avenue when something is going on. Next slide. This is just neighbors walking, cars parked. You can see how narrow the streets are. They're heavily tree lined since they've been there since the 20s. There's no sidewalks, as you can see, but it's not really feasible in order to have sidewalks. Next slide. It's just more of our neighbors. And I think part of these are even neighbors from adjacent neighborhoods. A lot of the neighbors do come to the neighborhood, and they're very, very welcome there. Next slide. Next slide. Okay, this is the petition of the vote whether to close Lafayette Place and to repurpose both of the streets, Fenwick Road at Lombardi and Lafayette. 326 homes in the neighborhood. There was over 92% in favor of this. A petition was filed with DPD when we filed our application that gave the results of this vote. In Smart Growth America, a May 24 publication named Memphis is the most dangerous pedestrian city in the country, with 343 deaths from 2018 to 2022, up from 186 deaths, with an overall population shrink within that 5-year period. The next slide. This is just some expenses assumed by Chickasaw Gardens HOA. As you can see, their security and maintenance expenses are extremely high, but they want to make sure that people enjoy the neighborhood, they enjoy the park, and that the park is well maintained and secure. Next slide. This is just another graphic, just so that you have it in a larger size. And this is at the Fenwick Lombardi. The next slide is the Lafayette Street. That will also be an exit only with a loop as requested by the abutting property owner. There will also be additional cameras located at both entrances. Next slide. Thank you very much for your time, and I will let the support speak now.
Thank you, Ms. Reeves. All right, we're going to go. I've divided some of these that are speaking on 5 and 6. I'll call some of you for item 5, and I'll call some of you for item 6. Natalie Hartman.
Good afternoon. My name's Natalie Hartman, and I live at 2991 Iroquois Road. I'm here today to address a growing concern within our community, the safety of our neighbors and our pedestrians and our children. I'm a mom of 2 young boys, 9 and 11. And they're at the age where they can ride their bikes freely within the neighborhood. And I don't worry about crime, I worry about them getting hit by a car. Our neighborhood recently hosted a breakfast for the Tillman precinct, something we do a couple times a year to thank the officers for their dedication to our city. Colonel Mathena said, it's not sidewalks or HOAs that make a neighborhood, it's people walking their dogs, riding their bikes, and using green spaces. And that's our neighborhood. Actually, Chickasaw Gardens just won an award for the Tillman precinct, highlighting our outstanding dedication, service, and continuous support of the Memphis Police Department and community. This group of neighborhood mothers that are asking for your support today recently came to you about putting a fence around a community playground located at East High School. This received overwhelming support and was installed a few weeks later. I say this as an example of us not only wanting to make our neighborhood safer, but all of Memphis. There's been a significant amount of inaccurate information shared regarding this proposal, and we thank you for hearing the facts today, that we want to make a safer neighborhood for everyone to enjoy.
Thank you, Ms. Hartman. Chelsea Savage.
Good evening, members of the Memphis City Council. My name is Chelsea Savage, and I live at 2941 Robin Road. I stand before you today to address an urgent issue that affects the safety of our neighborhood, particularly for the children and families that live there and surrounding neighborhoods. As many of you know, our community is characterized by its winding streets, beautiful trees. While these features contribute to the charm of Chickasaw Gardens, they also pose significant challenges for pedestrian safety. Recently, during Halloween, we witnessed firsthand the dangers that come with increased traffic in our area. Confused by the unfamiliar layout, many visitors drove erratically, creating a hazardous environment for the children who are out enjoying the holiday. This experience highlighted the pressing need for measures to ensure the safety of all the residents of our city, especially the youngest ones. Implementing this change will not only protect all children, but will also preserve the peaceful nature of our community, making it more enjoyable for residents and visitors alike. I believe that together we can make a significant difference in the safety and well-being of our neighborhood. Thank you for your time and consideration. I appreciate your commitment to making Memphis safer for all of its residents.
Thank you, Ms. Savage. Lon Magnus.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I represent the Chickasaw Gardens Homeowners Association as one of the members of the Board of Trustees.
Give us your name and address, please.
Lon Magnus, 10 Tishomingo Cove, Memphis, Tennessee, 38111.
Thank you, sir.
On behalf of the Neighborhood Association, it's clear the mandate that our neighbors felt to protect the neighborhood and the safety. We share streets with delivery drivers, with garbage trucks, with everything goes into the streets of our neighborhood. It's been an issue for many years, and the number of young families moving out of our neighborhood just brought this to such attention that we have sought these street closures and the repurposing of these entrances. It really detracts nothing from and inconveniences no one other than just redirecting traffic in the neighborhood. So thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Mr. Magnus. Jared Wilder.
I think that there was 3 other cards that were before Jared and Lon.
I've separated them into items 5 and 6
Okay.
to make it equitable for both sides.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Reeves.
Do you want to save your time for rebuttal? Yep. Can we save that time for rebuttal, please?
You can.
Thank you.
Pamela Moses.
Greetings, Pamela Moses, 2383 Jackson Avenue. I didn't really come to speak on this, but
Hold on, Ms. Moses, hold on 1 second. Restart the clock, 10 minutes.
10 minutes? Oh, I don't need but 2. Yes, I just felt some kind of way by the comment that your consultant just said when she said that we know that these people belong in the neighborhood. I'm not sure what she meant by that, but I want everyone who's in favor of putting gates up on public streets to know that y'all are on stolen land. So I don't know that you belong in the neighborhood. And I agree that, streets should be safe. And if the homeowner association wants to spend money to do that, then they should be able to. But the city council has a duty, and you all took oaths. You cannot block public streets. If they could, my street would be blocked off to keep certain people out of the neighborhood. And I'm not talking about just random people, but what she said makes me believe that this is not for safety because they paid somebody or they got somebody to advise them to come here and pitch this to you. But she clearly just said, we know that they belong in the neighborhood. Well, that's a public park, I think, and that's a public street, and you can't block it. And if you choose to do that, you're setting a precedent where you say only certain people can be in the neighborhood. And I do think that y'all didn't even want Elvis there. So they're not just talking about race, they're talking about socioeconomics. And I just wanted to bring that to your attention because what she said offended me. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Moses. No clapping, no clapping. If you agree with what they said, you can give us a thumbs up. If you don't agree, you can give us a thumbs down. John Smith, you're up next.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Attorney John D. Smith. My address is 36 North Cooper Street, and I represent a number of concerned residents of Chickasaw Gardens, Lombardi Road neighborhood, Humes Heights, East Joffrey Community Association, and frequent visitors to the Chickasaw Gardens Park, whom collectively stand in opposition to today's proposed street closures at Lombardi and Lafayette. Members of the council, a number of our residents cite traffic safety as a basis of their opposition. Saul Scarborough is a 17-year-old new driver. Saul's parents, Doctors Nicole and Douglas Scarborough of 248 East Chickasaw Parkway, unfortunately could not be with us today. Saul routinely drives himself to school at White Station High, utilizing the Lafayette Place exit so that he can safely turn right onto Poplar, usually during the dark hours. Mary Walker also drives herself, Mary Walker of 2724 Lombardi drives herself to the Chickasaw Gardens Park via Lombardi at Fenwick to exercise in the park. For both residents, in the event of the closures, would require that they take dangerous left turns onto Central Avenue. More of our residents take issue with the argument that closing off streets would increase traffic safety. Specifically, Lynn Joyner, Michael Hoots, and Will Thompson, all residents of Fenwick Road, Allison Crone of 2826 Lombardy, Julie Green of 2770 Iroquois. Mr. Hoots states that in 24 years as a resident of the area, he has experienced 3 major storms, resulting in downed trees and other obstacles. Had the access to Lombardy from Fenwick been blocked at that time, he and Mr. Thompson would have been trapped in their home for over a week. Ms. Green cites a recent traffic study conducted by Cannon and Cannon, in which an application by Chickasaw Gardens to install speed humps within the neighborhood was denied due to a lack of speeding vehicles in the neighborhood. Ms. Green argues that if there is insufficient data to support the installation of speed humps, which would slow the traffic inside the gardens, there surely cannot be data that supports the street closures, which would do nothing to slow said traffic. Susan Daniels of 2764 Lombardy emphatically states that the access to the public park, which she considers an amenity to her home just outside the gardens, should be made readily available and not restricted. 2 more of our residents, specifically Juliet Gigi Wishmeyer of 27 Ashlawn Cove, daughter of Mary Walker, and Linda Sowell of 2815 Lombardy, point out that these matters have previously been reviewed and rejected by the Land Use Control Board and the Office of Planning and Development after conferring with numerous professionals. No substantive facts have changed since those rejections, only the proponents' arguments. Overwhelmingly, the residents to whom I've spoken argue that closing off streets at the behest of one set of citizens to the detriment of others has at least the appearance of being elitist and exclusionary. Many argue that given its long history, that that's not what Memphis is about. More than one of my clients points to the obvious slippery slope as a consequence of granting the closures. A number of my clients cite the firsthand knowledge of other neighborhoods who are watching and waiting for the outcome of this decision to know whether or not to file their own applications for street closures. Mr. David Henderson, a former resident of the area whose daughter still lives on Humes, states his recollection of a closure of one of the previously open streets with the installation of a pedestrian gate, only subsequently to be closed, citing safety. He wonders how long a pedestrian access at Lombardy and Fenwick would remain if closed by the gate. In the course of 3 signature drives gathering support in opposition, my clients obtained the support of approximately 280 plus signatures, according to change.org. This figure nearly exactly approximates the number of proponents cited by Ms. Reeves in being in favor. A resounding statement made by so many to whom I've spoken say that we are one Memphis. We are welcoming to all. We all face the same problems with regard to crime and safety, and we shall fare better addressing those issues together, openly and honestly, rather than divided and separated. We urge the council not to vote yes on the proposed closures and to uphold the recommendations of the Land Use Control Board and the Office of Planning and Development. I thank you for your consideration. I yield the remainder of my time.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Peter Kaufman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon. My name is Peter Kaufman. I live at 242 Alexander Street, and I serve as the president of the East Joffrey Community Association. I've heard from many residents in advance of this meeting. East Joffrey is a community of 228 homes comprising the east half of the Joffrey neighborhood, which sits directly east of Chickasaw Gardens. I'm here representing my residents and other surrounding neighbors who have been following this proposal with great interest, many of whom have taken the time to be with us today. My neighbors and I are very concerned about this proposal to close Lafayette Place, as well as the parallel closure of Lombardy Road, and we urge you not to approve either proposal. Chickasaw Gardens Park, a public city-owned park at the center of Chickasaw Gardens, is the only park that my family and my neighborhood can safely access by foot or on bike. It's the park that my retired next-door neighbors drive to at least once a week. The neighborhood streets that pass through Chickasaw Gardens further serve as a critical east-west link in the city's network of low-stress bike routes that my family and many neighbors use to access Midtown, Overton Park, and even downtown. The proposed fencing and gates would really create a chilling effect on access to Chickasaw Gardens Park and the Chickasaw neighborhood more generally, painting a clear image that the Chickasaw Gardens HOA is cordoning off the space for their use only and does not think that we belong there, much to the detriment of their neighbors to the east across Lafayette like me and those to the west across Fenwick. Even with the narrow pedestrian accesses that were shown in the most recent renderings, what recourse would there be if Chickasaw Gardens chose to close those access points in the future? The safest course of action is never to close the streets in the first place. These streets are public streets, and access for all travel modes should remain fully open to all Memphians. A major element of the Chickasaw Gardens HOA's reasoning in their current argument is that the gates would somehow improve traffic safety, and to me, that hope is misguided. Putting on my professional hat, in my day job, I am a traffic engineer. I hold a professional engineer's license with credentials as a professional traffic operations engineer and as a certified roadway safety professional. I was able to pull some TDOT data covering the past 7 years of police crash reports in and around Chickasaw Gardens, and with your permission, I'd like to share that with you now. This is the exhibit up on the screen. Could you move to page 2, please? Thank you. The data shows that these two proposals would be closing the safest 2 access points out of their current 5. Lafayette Place on the right, the road that my family uses to access downtown, to bike to downtown, has seen 0 crashes at its intersection with Lafayette Street in the past 7 years, and the Lombardi Road and Fenwick intersection has seen only 4 during that time. Closing either of those access points would force us to detour onto Central Avenue, where the bike lanes coming from the U of M end at Lafayette Street. In fact, all drivers approaching from Poplar in the north or from the Joplin or Hume Heights neighborhoods to the east or west would have to detour around and onto busier, faster Central Avenue. These drivers would be forced to use one of those 3 remaining Central Avenue access points to reach the park, all of which saw significantly more intersection crashes than the streets they proposed to close, with at least 7 crashes each over that 7-year period. Drivers coming around from Fenwick would have to go through the cluster intersection of Fenwick, Central, and West Chickasaw, which saw 39 crashes in that period, while those approaching from the northeast would encounter Lafayette and Central, which saw 15. And it's not just park visitors. All Chickasaw Gardens residents arriving from the north would be exposed to greater crash risk as well. Closing off 40% of their access points would concentrate traffic on the remaining 3 links, leading to longer waits to travel to or from Central Avenue. It's going to create a less resilient system for emergency response, as we've heard, and it'll provide fewer options during street closures. It's also going to make people drive further, too. Imagine tacking an extra couple of blocks onto the starter end of every single trip you take to or from Poplar Avenue. That's what's being proposed here. Forcing drivers to travel longer distances is known to lead to driver impatience and higher travel speeds on the very roadways that the Chickasaw Gardens Homeowners Association is hoping to make safer. Consolidating traffic on these smaller number of streets will make the neighborhood more dangerous for pedestrians, cyclists, and vehicles, and on behalf of my board, I urge you not to approve either of these motions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kaufman. Madam Comptroller, how much time was left originally on the... All right, Ms. Reeves, you have 3:44 left. Young man, if you give me your name and address for the record, you may begin.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jay McDonald, and I live on 182 East Chickasaw Parkway. I am 11 years old, and I'm in the 6th grade. I'm here today to ask for the City Council's support of our neighborhood putting in 2 gate closures to make the streets safer. Right now, my brother and I are not allowed to walk or ride our bikes around the neighborhood with our friends. My parents are worried for us to walk because they don't want us to be hit by cars or worse. We see cars that speed past our house and race around the neighborhood. Chickasaw Gardens has narrow and curvy streets with lots of giant trees, so it's really hard to see incoming cars coming around curves, especially when they're driving way too fast. Also, we do not have sidewalks, so we have to walk and ride our bikes inside the street. It makes me sad because I love our neighborhood very much, and I have lots of friends that I would love to spend time with outside. Please consider voting for the closure to make our neighborhood a safer place for my friends, neighbors, and other Memphians who already enjoy spending time in our neighborhood. Thank you for my time.
Thank you, young man. Ms. Reeves, 2:48.
My name is Lauren Malone. I live at 181 East Goodwin Street, 38111. As a resident who lives directly across from one of our most dangerous intersections, I've witnessed firsthand the reckless speeds at which cars turn into the neighborhood at my corner. It is a constant source of worry, especially as a parent of a young child whose favorite thing to do is play outside, visit our neighbors across the street, and talk to all the walkers. The prospect of my son playing freely in our front yard, A simple childhood joy is often overshadowed by the constant threat of speeding vehicles. My experiences have made me feel so compelled to shout at cars to stop or slow down as they turn the corner at too high of a speed to notice my little boy before slowing down on their own. In fact, his first words to put together while playing outside were, "Slow down," a heartbreaking testament to the fear that has become a part of our daily lives. I don't think shouting at people is the right or efficient way to go about this problem, nor do I believe it is the best example for my child. But as a mother, I don't know how else to relieve my worry and my fears, so I come to you for help. Communicating in this setting is a much better example. I'd like to show my son. I so hope you'll agree with our proposal to redirect vehicles at strategic locations, and I can share with him how doing the right thing got what we felt we needed to help keep him and everyone in our community safer.
Thank you, Mrs. Malone. Minute 25.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I did not mean to offend anybody. I apologize for that. It was my mistake. To address a couple of the comments that were made, if there are any trees that fall or any obstructions happen, then the gates will be open. No one's going to be trapped in their neighborhood or in their homes. The gates will be opened and the obstructions will be taken care of. We are not prohibiting bikes or pedestrians. We welcome everyone to Chickasaw Gardens. We feel it's a beautiful place. It's well maintained, and it's one of the most maintained parks in the city of Memphis. So we would ask for your favor for this, and I'm going to let Jared speak one more minute.
I'm Jared Wilder. I live at 225 Lombardi Road. Thank you for the council's time. I know we've been here much, much longer than we probably all anticipated when we started. This has been an effort to open up our neighborhood, make pedestrians safer. We hope that having the pedestrian openings has illustrated that. Our stewardship of the park, which involves our HOA providing over $80,000 a year to help beautify the park and maintain the park. If we wanted to not have people enjoy it, if we didn't want people to come in, we would not take on the stewardship efforts that we do. We would not get involved the way we do. I hope that you will look at this and see that what we want is to have safer streets and open it up for more people to enjoy, not close people out. Thank you so much for your consideration.
Thank you. All right. Glad that's back. All right, colleagues, we're going to go to the queue now. Councilman Carlisle, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll address a few things. I'm going to repeat a couple comments from upstairs, and then I'll address a few things that were made and then try and move us along. I know neighbors on both sides. Many of you know that this has taken years off my life and yours, I understand. But my point is I reject the notion of the individuals that I know of being racist or bigoted or trying to keep people out of their neighborhood. I fully reject it. You're entitled to your opinion. I know them personally and you don't. You're just drawing conclusions because it's the easiest thing to do down here. So for me, I reject that notion. What I do understand about this decision is you can't make both sides happy, right? And so they also reject the notion that access is being denied. What I would say is through the compromises is that access still exists. No one is, other than vehicular access being rerouted, no access to the neighborhood's been denied. It's full pedestrian access as it is today. You're getting lighted, cameraed entrances, and if you have to get to the park in a vehicle, you're required to go out and make a quick loop on Central. It's about 24 seconds out of the way. And so for me, I think what I asked of the neighbors about 18 months ago was to exhaust every possible option on the table, and I feel like they've done that. I agree. Councilman Warren's absolutely right. The way to have solved this for us is if the Memphis Police Department, I'm not dogging them, but if the Memphis Police Department were pulling people over for speeding, right? And back when we used to have the walrus on the motorcade, on the motorbike, right? You'd sit on Walnut Grove in front of Galloway every day and clock people, and you slowed down to 30 miles an hour. The point is that we're not doing that. We're not enforcing speed. Councilman Canale has lowered, in his first full term on the council, lowered the non-posted speed limit from 30 to 25 miles an hour because we knew that anecdotally, but for real, that the average vehicle was traveling down the side road at 40 miles an hour. And so 15 miles an hour over makes it a felony charge. That was the first thing we did. Then we went to John Gillespie at the state and said, people are driving too fast and it's a misdemeanor. It's a Class C misdemeanor. What can we do? We took it to a Class A misdemeanor. People were still reckless driving. So then we asked them to take it to a Class E felony. So my point is that we've taken 3 or 4 chomps at the apple just to try and slow cars down because the police department doesn't have the ability to enforce speed behavior around the city like we want them to. They also don't have the ability to cover the city like we want them to. And yes, I recognize that this neighborhood has money that other neighborhoods don't. I don't know it's a reason to punish them since they're offering a solution on their dime that still allows access to the neighborhood, but again, only reroutes vehicular traffic. Like, the cars are still allowed in the neighborhood. So for me, access isn't being restricted. Only vehicular access is being rerouted around the corner. And for East Joffrey, it's a right and a right. For Lombardi, it's a left across Central. It's a 5-lane road with a turn lane to turn into, and honestly, you don't even have to make it all the way across. As far as the emergency, Ms. Reeves addressed that, I would agree. If there's an emergency that requires MLGW and Public Works to come out, they can authorize the gates to be open. My guess is that the neighbors are going to do it since most of you know each other. As far as precedent setting, I do. I think each member of this body takes every case on its own merits. And so the idea that this would set some longstanding precedent doesn't hold water, at least for me personally. I respect this gentleman's career as a PE and a traffic engineer. I also know that professionals like attorneys and engineers can agree to disagree. But what I will say is that the city's police department, fire department, and engineering department, including the city's senior traffic engineer, signed off on these plans. So from the city's perspective, from the city administration perspective, those departments have signed off on the plans. As far as LUCB, we kind of addressed that, the compromise, the process works. So for me, I'm going to be supporting the gates. I'd ask my colleagues to support the gates. I feel like the majority of the members that represent this district are supportive of the gates. And so I'll leave it at that and we'll take up the next issue. But as far as I'm concerned, the argument that people are being kept out because they can't drive their car in, I don't fully get. I just don't, I reject that notion that that somehow denies access because you don't get to drive your vehicle at the most convenient route possible. So for that, I'm going to be supporting the gates. And again, I'd ask that my colleagues would too. Thank you. Yield the floor.
Thank you, Councilman Carlisle. Councilwoman White, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chairman. And I first want to say that it's always a little conflicting when you have a group of community, and I always try to veer towards listening to what people want in their neighborhoods, and I always try to respect that and give them that. But when we start talking about blocking off a public street, of course, we have to make sure that there's a public interest here. And so that's one consideration is, of course, what these taxpayers want, but the other considerations are how does this affect the city? And that's why we have the Land Use Control Board. And so I wanted to go back to what I asked earlier, and I'll tell you all my concerns, and I always respect my colleague, Councilman Carlisle, and my other colleagues that are in support of this closing, but I want to get back to kind of what we should be looking at here. One, I've not really heard, it seems to be speculative that closing these gates will somehow improve the things that we're saying are issues. And I've not really heard any support as to how this will particularly benefit or change the concerns. But to the contrary, what I've heard or seen, and I would like for John Zena to speak to this, is looking at the rejection of this proposal. And I guess I would just like to get a little bit more clarity on this. Looking at number 4, there's an issue about the access points from Central Avenue. And I do want to make this one point before I go on. I know we're saying it's not to keep people out, and I, of course, respect Ms. Cindy Reeves and, of course, Attorney Britnell. Very, very good people and people who I find to be credible and who present good information. But I don't know if you probably noticed, but when you talked about the cameras and the gates, you said so that the neighborhood could determine if the people belong there or not. And so that kind of raised my eyebrows. And then it brought my next question about whether or not these 2 streets, from my understanding, will then become privatized and owned by the HOA, meaning that the HOA can then dictate and control who's on these former public streets. And then I want to know who is going to be responsible for the enforcement of these gates and things remaining opening, because I know it starts off when people want something, we start there, and then as time goes on, things change, where we have a clicker, we have a lock, we have these rules, but at that point, it's out of the city council's control. And of course, we have to make sure that we're doing what's right for the city because it's a public street. And I want to be clear, I really respect the residents in this area and your wishes. But in this instance, I've gotten opposition, I've gotten people for it, and so now I just need to get the facts. So those are the things. And Mr. Zena, if you would come up, I want to go through these reasons for rejection, and you have the list. I provided it to you. If you could tell me what the concerns are with what you all have stated in terms of the ingress and egress of this neighborhood and people going out on Central Avenue, and your opinion as to what it's going to do to traffic flow. And I would appreciate it if you're able to opine whether or not you believe that these gates would do what it is that they believe it will do, if you have the qualifications to do that.
John Zena, Planning and Development. A couple of things, Councilwoman White, and to the council. There are some new conditions that were presented in committee, so I want to make sure that everyone's clear on those. The original proposal from the neighborhood, obviously that was taken in 2023, included the pedestrian and bike access would be through a gate that was only open during the daytime hours, and that would be closed and I assume locked during the nighttime hours. That's no longer part of the conditions that are before you. Now there's the pedestrian and bicycle opening that you've seen on the rendering. So one of the first concerns that was in the staff report from last year was related to the bike and pedestrian access and the limitation from that gate. So that, I guess, in effect, has been cured from that limitation standpoint. Now, in terms of vehicular access, the original letter of intent did allow for emergency vehicle access only and exit only if a clicker is purchased. Of course, clicker is no longer permitted in the conditions, but at least on one of the streets, Lafayette Place, the revised conditions would allow for the loop exit system, and as well as the emergency vehicle. So that sort of addresses one of the first main areas of comment that we made in our staff report. The second has to do with the limitation of neighborhood access to only 3 points along Central Avenue. As we've talked about in committee, there were originally, I believe, 12 points, or 11 or 12 points of access to the Chickasaw Gardens neighborhood when it was originally platted. Over time, there have been several street closures. That count is now down to 5, and of course, these applications would take the access point count down to 3. So we have the same platted neighborhood with the same number of lots, same number of homes, and now we've gone from access of 11 or 12 points all the way down to a proposed 3, and those 3 points being on Central Avenue, which has been pointed out is the highest speed, highest volume street. The other part of that too, I think that's important to understand is that we don't anticipate that the volume of traffic accessing to and from the neighborhood will change as a result of this. What it means is that volume of traffic is going to be funneled to, redirected, as has been said, from 5 points to now 3 points. And so the same volume of traffic is going to be put on Goodwin, East and West Chickasaw Parkway that was distributed across the 5 points of access that exist now. So you're taking the same number of vehicles and you're reducing down the number of points of access, the number of streets where that volume is going to be. So certainly from a traffic safety, pedestrian safety standpoint, what we're doing is heightening the risk on those 3 streets, Goodwin, East, and West Chickasaw Parkway. So that's the reason why primarily the staff is concerned
limiting the access to those 3 points on Central, in addition to just any concerns about emergency vehicle access, particularly for the north part of the neighborhood. The 3 points of access along Central are all on the southern boundary of the neighborhood. So for the north part of the neighborhood, that's just a longer distance. Now, obviously, these 2 gates will have emergency vehicle access, but obviously, an opening is much better than an emergency vehicle access gate. So that's another concern related to those 3 points of access. I think that mainly addresses most of the issues that were raised in the staff report. Obviously, some of the things have been cured, like I said, with the conditions as they've been amended over the past year, but there's still obviously concern over just going from 5 to 3 and what that does.
One more question. Is there still concern? Number 6 says the Public Works and Solid Waste Divisions have also expressed concerns that closure would impede service delivery. Has Public Works or Solid Waste, have they chimed in based on the new conditions or changes?
I was speaking with Mr. Ragsdale about that. No, we haven't gotten new feedback from them since the conditions have been updated. And actually, unfortunately, there are not departmental comments in the staff report that were received from either of those 2. I think the staff planner who originally was working on this over a year ago had conversations with those divisions, but there weren't written comments that were received. I think their main concern was really about ensuring that they had the same level of access to provide the services that they provide to all neighborhoods in this area. So, like I said, I'm not sure if that's cured. I would suspect that at least the exit only on the loop does at least help to give some additional access to those divisions as they're primarily thinking about solid waste as they're going about their route and then needing to exit the neighborhood to go to the next part of their route.
And I missed the last one. What was number 7? It seems like there was one more. Is there one more?
I think inhibiting any access to the park and lake has maybe largely been addressed by the change in the bike and pedestrian access. So I think that is somewhat, maybe not all the way, but somewhat cured by the revised conditions.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Cooper Sutton, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. As we discussed downstairs, I think there's a key word that everybody is missing: public. It's a public street that my tax dollars and everybody tax dollars in here pays for, and we all do it together. Everyone wants to be safe. I want my community to be safe. I would love to have a gate in my street. My street is narrow. Director Manny, could you come up, please? And if it's a public street, there's a few questions that I need you all to understand. There's a process that needs to happen. If you're going to have a security and cameras, what do you need a gate for? Have your security guy at the entrance, and maybe that'll slow the people down from coming. Maybe we need to think out the box a little bit. If you're gonna have a security guard with cameras on the gate, get your security guard over there off of Southern, over there where I play tennis at that country club. There's a security guard that runs up and down that community. So maybe you all should do that. Get a security guard to be at that entrance. My question again is this: have they applied for speed bumps? Have they, in our engineer department, because they pay for an engineer, but as far as our engineer, the city engineer?
Good evening, Manny Belen with the Division of Engineering. To answer your question, recently we have not received any requests for speed humps for the community. There was one application that was submitted. Unfortunately, it was denied because it did not meet the traffic calming warrants that's needed to accommodate for that.
Was it this street that they
Not
applied for?
specifically this two streets.
Okay, so not specifically these two streets.
Correct.
Okay, and if they needed speed bumps, it would come in our CIP, am I correct? This is a public street?
That is correct, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I understand that you all, and I don't want to, I'm trying not to go there. I'm really trying not to go there. But what my spirit is discerning, and I've torn with this, and I've listened to this, and I've torn with this. It is not about the pedestrians. It's not about that. It's clearly not about that. Central is a dangerous street. If the LUCB and DPD recommendation says rejection, we don't need that department to tell us what's needed and what's not needed. They can just go head on. Their recommendation, their skill set, their qualification, and what they did have analyzed all of this to say that you don't need a gate. There's a Black community over here, Emerald, Diamond Estates, all of those, Ruby, all of those, Twinkletown, all of that. I live over there, and we don't have gates. We want to be safe. So, my vote is going to be no, because it's a public street where taxpayer dollars are invested, and we all are taxpayers. I'm not part of your country club, so I don't have to rub shoulders with you. So I don't need any favors. But I work for this city, and I work for this city of Memphis, and I work for the people, and we all are part of this city, and we all want to be safe. But you got a lake, and you got a park, and it needs to be accessible to the constituents in the city of Memphis. I yield the floor.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Walker, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't know if this question is for Attorney Wade or maybe Director Zena, but upstairs I heard the word that the street would be private if we approve this. What does that mean if it's private?
John Zena, Planning and Development. The section of streets that we're talking about would be deeded to the homeowners association. Homeowners association would own and maintain these stubs, the street stubs.
Okay, so they would own and maintain. Okay, thank you for that. Secondly, the pictures of the streets that were shown in the presentation, the street that I live on is more narrow than the street that I saw up there, the streets that I saw up there. And the pictures, the streets also had curbs. My street doesn't have a curb, and I just wanted you all to know that. The volume of traffic, so I guess it was in the last meeting, but there was a proposed gas station in my district that I was supporting at Brooks and Elvis Presley. And to my colleagues, you all voted that down because of the traffic, because of the potential risk of the traffic. And as Director Zena has so eloquently broke that down, there is a traffic risk here as well. So I want you all to keep that in mind when you cast your vote today, because a traffic risk in Whitehaven is just as dangerous. This is just as dangerous as a traffic risk. The traffic risk at Chickasaw Gardens is just as dangerous as a traffic risk in Whitehaven. So I just want my colleagues to keep that in mind. And as I move toward closing, this is stolen land. If you want to know more about that, you can follow up with me offline. And finally, Ms. Reeves, so with respect to the cameras, I don't know if you all have established this or not. If you have, I want to know what is the criteria for determining who does not belong?
Councilmember, Pearl Walker. Can I let Jared, I misspoke on this.
Sure,
Can I let?
anyone can come in, sure.
Yes.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Obviously, Cindy had a misspoken moment. It was not intended, that's not how it works. What the cameras allow us to do, and I've had 2 meetings with Sergeant Stanley at the Real-Time Crime Center, we go out and get, we talk to experts. It is a force multiplication tactic, okay? Where cameras are going to help MPD, they're gonna help our city, they're gonna make everyone safer is you only have so many assets. You only have, if you've got one security guard, if he knows that there's activity in a certain area, then he can go over there and he can be a deterrent and a protector. A security guard's job is simply to report and call for help. He's not an active police officer. There's nothing you can do to replace that. So if you have a system like that in place, then you're able to help the person who is doing that go observe and be in the areas where people can be protected or be watched and make them safer. That's the intention of what we do.
Okay, thank you for that.
Yes,
so
ma'am.
once again, what is the criteria that will be used to determine who does not belong there?
There is not any criteria for who does not
There's
belong.
no criteria.
We are open to the public. There is a public park. We have people walk through all day long and everyone is welcome. There is not any bias whatsoever towards that.
Okay, thank you. I yield the floor.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Carlisle, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be brief. A lot of comments that far stray out, just outside of the bounds of what's on the table into, yeah, I'm not going to get into it, but far outside of what's on the table to being discussed. I've known Cindy for 20 years in this business. She had a misspoke of words, and that's exactly what happens down here is like, it's an opportunity for people to tear it apart as some sort of subconscious racism when we've all known Cindy for 20 years. Like, for those of you that have been down here for 8 years, like Cindy, like to treat her that way is unbelievable.
Nobody used the word race.
Yeah, but here's the deal. I've been down here 5 years on this council. I've seen it and heard it enough in enough arguments. Like the country club insinuation of doing favors, I know exactly what you're saying. That's okay. I'm good.
Sir,
I'm a big boy. I'm not addressing anybody directly.
Just gavel me. You don't know what I'm saying if you have not asked. That's a judgment unless you have data. You don't have data. Gavel me. Go on, gavel me.
Now, in an effort to get this back to the merits of the argument about access, Mr. Zena, thank you. You addressed the main point, which is the main concern was access to the public park in the neighborhood, which still exists today, correct? Including, by the way, you mentioned only 3 entrances. There's actually an exit on 1. But access to the park will remain open through all 5 current entrances except for vehicular access. Is that accurate?
Access to the park will remain open to vehicles from the 3 points along Central, and then pedestrians and bicycles at all 5 points.
And an egress on 4 points, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And the 2 points we're talking about are on secondary streets. So you are filtering through 3 streets down to Central, but actually there's a 6th entrance, which is on Poplar. So for the neighborhood of Chickasaw Gardens, they have another ingress and egress to relieve pressure. Is that correct?
That's my understanding, yes.
So and then for the Lombardi and Humes Heights, they have exits on the backside down Bunton. They can go to Poplar on Fenwick. I think there's a couple other exits that I just can't remember off the top of my head since we're going that way. But the buildup, and you mentioned the traffic count doesn't change. It's a shift in traffic pattern. The traffic generation report that was done by the traffic engineer, that was approved by the city's traffic engineer, did not demonstrate a need for a full-blown traffic study because it didn't generate enough change in traffic. Is that correct?
I'm not aware.
Well, if DPD is going to weigh in on the traffic engineer's concerns, it better be able to speak to what it actually said.
The only traffic study that I saw had to do with turning movements, not volume.
Not generation.
Right.
Manny?
Manny Belen with the Division of Engineering again. So the data can be extrapolated from traffic data from TDOT. So that there is numbers associated along Fenwick and Lafayette. So there are numbers associated to that.
Okay. So the last thing that I'll say is, again, I don't understand how somebody says, I want a gate in my neighborhood, but because we're not going to get gates, you guys can't have one. Like, it's part of the argument I'm hearing. That may not be the full-blown argument, but it's certainly a theme that continues to come out, which is we want gates in our neighborhood. My road's narrow, but we're not going to have them. Like, it's a continual undertone. And again, I just would reject it that it's not. So for me, the main concern of access to the neighborhood has stayed the same. Vehicular access had to go around. And you know, I'm just, at that point, I don't know what the argument is other than this stereotypish idea that there's some undertone happening to try and keep people out. I just don't get that. It's fully open access. Yeah, sorry, it's been a long day. That being said, I move the previous question.
Thank you, Councilman Carlisle. Councilwoman White, you're recognized.
Thank you so much, Chairman. And I know we've stayed on this too long. I just wanted to make 2 points and then I'll be done. And I appreciate everyone's comments. I just wanted to be clear where I stood. Mine is not, I've tried to leave out, and I have left out emotionalism. I've left out even some of the other considerations that I've heard. I'm basing my vote solely on what's been presented before me, and I've tried to really have an objective view of this. I've tried to be open and listen to emails. Some of the people who have emailed me are good friends that I know, people that I know. One is my banker, whom I respect, and I want to make sure that I made it very clear that I have the utmost respect for Miss Cindy Reeves, and I think I made that clear when I spoke before, and did not at all want to insinuate any kind of ill will or ill intention on her part. I have the utmost respect for Miss Reeves. Here are my my 2 cents here. When I heard that there have been 15 openings and now we're down to 5, it begged the question and made me think about my initial question about whether or not this remedy is speculative. And I believe that it's telling that this remedy is pretty speculative, that you're here requesting 2 additional closings after there have already been, I guess, 10 others. And so we still have these concerns. The other issue that I have that still hasn't been resolved are the concerns from the Land Use Control Board and our bodies who have said these are the issues, and I've not really heard anything that rebuts those. And so based on the speculative nature of what's been requested, in addition to our experts saying that they reject it, that's kind of where I am. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Warren.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to call the question.
I'm going to clear the queue first. Councilwoman Cooper Sutton.
I was just going to ask, do we have any data? This was before you all, December the 19th of 2023, and it's the same, it's the same soup warmed all over again. Where is the data? Where is the data? Where is the numbers? Where is it? Where are they? No one has been able to produce that. I asked Mr. Jerry when he and Mr. Brenham, am I correct? I asked so I could see the data. Memphis is a data-driven city. See the numbers. What's really happening? I've gone over there. I went over there. I sat right back there when you all came last year, 2 days from today. Today is the 17th. Y'all were here last year, December the 19th of 2023. And they asked then, where is the data? And then I think, and I'm going to close, Martavis Jones quoted something the late Miss Sarah Lewis said that really struck me when he said that. And he said, if you can't measure it, I think he said, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. And if you can't manage it, you can't improve it. So we have no measurement. We have nothing. And so I respect what you're trying to do. I understand what you're trying to do, but there's no data. And we are a data-driven city. And we need the data. We need to see the numbers. I yield the floor.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Ford Sr.
Thank you very much, Chair. This is a hard one, y'all. But I don't want to make nothing racist. I don't really think it is. The problem is this front picture. That's a park. don't have anybody from Parks here to defend that, okay? That's our problem. This is a park. If that park wasn't there, vote been over a long time ago. Y'all have had a gate, everything else, okay? But we're looking at this. That's where your race come in, all the rest of it. We want to get rid of that though. And that's what's being seen, okay? You want to block me out. That's a nice park. That's how some people feel. I don't feel that way. Some people feel that way. We have nobody from Parks here today to tell us anything about this very nice park. I'm just being honest, okay? So I don't want the children, the old people, the young people, the dog even when you're walking one. I mean, to be honest, this is the problem. And I know we want to vote today, but I make a motion, put it off to the first of the year, let Parks come here and just deal with it after that and see what they say, because like you said, public street, public park, everything else, something that we did not look at. But it's right there on the front page, right here. It's here. Okay.
Is there any objection to moving this or holding this item until January 7th? All right. Madam Comptroller, please prepare special item 1 for a hold on item number 5.
And it'll be on item number 17. Number 6. That's it.
It was moved by Ford Sr., seconded by Spinoza.
We're voting to try to hold it again.
So this special item 1 is a vote to hold item number 5 till January 7th. No. A hold. This is to hold it. A yes vote holds it to January 7th. A no vote, we vote on it today and dispose of it today.
Carlisle, yes. Ford, yes. Green, yes. Logan, yes. Spinoza, yes. Swearingen, Washington, yes. Walker, no. Warren, no. Chairman Canale, yes.
That item passes. That item will be held till January 7th. Madam Comptroller, please call item number 6.
Item number 6 is a resolution approving the right-of-way vacation of Lombardi Road between South Fenwick Road and Cherokee Drive. This resolution is sponsored by the Division of Planning and Development, and it was held from December 3rd.
Thank you, Madam Comptroller. Councilman Ford Sr., you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. Committee met. Item number 6. Okay, committee met. Sent this downstairs with no recommendation. I'd like to move to get it on the floor.
Item was moved. Excuse me, if you're leaving the chamber, please be quiet. Item was moved by Ford Sr. I need a second. Second by Swearingen, Washington. You have a motion, Councilman?
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to move this to be held until first meeting in January.
Any objection to this item being held till January 7th? No objection. This item is held till January 7th.
Okay.
Madam Comptroller, please call item number 7.
Item number 7 is an ordinance approving a street name change to change the name of Park Lane, also known as Bates Alley, to Stereo Alley, located at the east-west right-of-way from the North Second Street intersection to North Fourth Street. Up for third and final reading, this ordinance is sponsored by the Division of Planning and Development. The case number is SNC 24-01. The ordinance number is 5923.
Councilwoman Swearingen Washington, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. The committee met, there was a favorable recommendation, and I so move.
Item was moved by Swearingen Washington, seconded by Ford Sr. Seeing no members in the queue, please prepare the voting screen for item 7.
Cooper Sutton, yes. Easter Thomas, yes. Ford, yes. Green, yes. Swearingen Washington, yes. Walker abstained. Warren abstained. Chairman Canale, yes. Nosa is voting yes on this ordinance that needs 7 votes to pass.
Before I gavel this, does any other member want to cast their vote? They did not vote.
Point of information, please. For number 7. We're on number 7.
We are.
Oh, that's that alley.
Then don't tell me, tell the comptroller. Okay. That item passes. Madam Comptroller, please take us to item number 23.
Item number 23 is an ordinance to establish Memphis City Council meeting dates for 2025, up for third and final reading. Ordinance number 5921 is sponsored by Chairman Smiley. It was held from December 3rd.
Councilman Carlisle.
Please note in the records that there's a substitute ordinance. There has been some date changes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to move the substitute ordinance to establish the Memphis City Council meeting dates for the 2025 meeting to the floor. The meeting dates that have changed are March 4th is now moved to March 11th, and then July 1st is now moved to I know. I'm just, hey, I'm going with it. And then we move July 1, make your motion, Councilwoman. We're going from July 1st to July 8th. Those are the only 2 changes on your calendars. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll yield the floor.
Thank you, Councilman Carlisle. Councilwoman Easter Thomas, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. Can I ask for a reason for the changes? March 4th to March 11th. Oh. Okay. And then the other one was July. Is there a reason for the July change too? Okay. Okay. I just thought for once we weren't gonna have a back-to-back, but okay. I just wanted to ask for a reason. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
All hearts and minds clear. Please prepare the voting screen for item 23. And yes,
Mr. Chairman,
as
those are
amended with
same
same night minutes.
Carlisle, yes. Easter Thomas, yes. Ford, yes. Spinoza, yes. Swearingen Washington, yes. Walker, yes. Warren abstained. Please show Councilmember Green as voting yes. Chairman Canale, yes.
That item
Show
passes.
Councilmember White as voting yes as well.
Please go to item 25.
Item number 25 is a resolution to transfer equipment, CAP, to contract construction from personal protective equipment, FS04012, and gender separation, FS25002, and appropriate funds in the amount of $766,200 for extraction install project contract construction, FS23103, all council districts. This resolution is sponsored by the administration.
Councilwoman White, you're recognized.
The committee met and approved. We came down with a favorable recommendation.
Move it electronically, please.
And I so move.
Moved by White, second by Spinoza. Councilwoman Green, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to make note that in committee, I'd asked questions to make sure that our female firefighters would receive their facilities because this money was being moved out of that. And our deputy fire chief did get back to me, and there is a plan in place. 9 of the 13 facilities are being updated, and the rest are online in the future. So I just wanted to let the council know that that's being taken care of.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Seeing no other members in the queue, please prepare the voting screen for item 25.
Carlisle, yes. Easter Thomas, yes. Ford, yes. Green, yes. Swearingen, Washington, yes. Walker, yes. Warren, yes. White, yes. Please show Councilmember Spinoza's voting yes, and Chairman Canali, yes.
That item passes. Please call item 26.
Item number 26 is a resolution to accept, allocate, and appropriate Port Security Grant Program funds from the Department of Homeland Security Operations Safety in the amount of $216,750 to purchase a rescue boat package and training. All council districts. This resolution is sponsored by the administration.
Councilwoman White, you're recognized.
The committee met and recommended approval, and I so move.
Item was moved by White, seconded by Spinoza. Seeing no members in the queue, we do have a public comment card. Brandy Price, you may come forward. You have 2 minutes to speak. Name and address for the record, please.
Hello, my name is Brandy Price at 6571 Stockport Code 38141. I'm concerned of the allocation and appropriation of any funds from Homeland Security by the city because the city has been founded in violation of the Constitution of the United States. There have been several instances where the city mayor, Congressman Steve Cohen, Lieutenant Governor McNally, and the Governor Bill Lee have been made aware of the criminal conspiracy under 18 U.S.C. 241 to deprive citizens of their rights under 18 U.S.C. 242 within the city, county, and federal courts, thereby turning the courtroom into a means of racketeering. These are felonies that need to be investigated, and under 18 U.S.C., when a citizen brings evidence, such as myself, of these criminal activities and felonies to any public officials, those public officials are liable to file it for an investigation under these crimes, or they are also complicit within these crimes. Again, under 18 U.S.C. 4, concealment of evidence presented to public officials is also a felony. So I'm here today with evidence of corruption within our courtroom, not just within the Memphis Police Department, but the courtrooms that are protecting them and also concealing greater crimes to the deprivation of the rights of the citizens of Memphis, not only within the judicial court, criminal court, juvenile, but also federal courts. These criminal judges have turned the courtroom system as a means for racketeering. And as public officials, y'all are made complicit by this because I bring y'all evidence of these crimes. And if y'all do nothing, then y'all are also complicit in said crimes. Do y'all want to go to jail or do y'all want to go home? Like, that's all I'm saying. Like, come to work with the public and name these outlaws and have them charged and investigated by the Department of Justice. Thank you.
Thank you, Brandy. Colleagues, please cast your vote for item number 26.
Cooper Sutton, yes. Easter Thomas, yes. Ford, yes. Swearingen Washington, yes. Walker, yes. Warren, yes. White, yes. Chairman Canale, yes.
That item passes. That brings us to our same night minute items. Vice Chair-elect Swearingen Washington, would you please read our same night minute items into the record?
Thank you, Chairman. The same night minute items are numbers 10, 23, 27, 28, 29, and 30.
Same night minute items are moved by Swearingen Washington. I need a second. Seconded by White. Seeing no members in the queue, please prepare the voting screen for our same night minute items.
Cooper Sutton, yes. Easter Thomas, yes. Ford, yes. Spinoza, yes. Swearingen Washington, yes. White, yes. Chairman Canale, yes.
That item passes. This brings us to the heel of our meeting and our public comment portion. Do we have any cards? Thank you. Pamela Moses.
Pamela Moses, 2383 Jackson. Thank you again for this opportunity to speak. I want to address a pressing matter that directly impacts our community. I want to highlight the urgent need for increased community involvement in our local decision-making process. As many of you may know, our Walgreens in North Memphis has closed its door, leaving residents without accessible pharmacy services. The closure is not just a minor inconvenience, it reflects a broader issue of neglect and disregard for the needs of our community. I have reached out to those who are supposed to represent and assist taxpayers, but my calls have gone unanswered. This lack of responsiveness is unacceptable, and it underscores the importance of clear communication and accountability from our city officials. As we look forward to potential and public and private partnerships aimed at enhancing economic mobility with collaborating with the county, I stress that these initiatives must include robust community component. Without those voices, those most affected will not be heard, and we risk repeating past mistakes. For example, the departure of Electrolux many years ago serves as a stark reminder of the consequences failing to engage our community. Now, if an AI initiative sponsored by Elon Musk and Mr. McGowan is going to be in place, I need for y'all to ensure that the community is involved. Moreover, I urge the city council to consider creating a dedicated department or liaison to community informed and involved in significant projects. Let us work together to make this happen. If you don't know, it has not been approved yet. They have not got the state permit. And if the city does not get a community benefits agreement with the residents and taxpayers, I will personally be leading the charge to block the entire project. Thank you. Merry Christmas, happy holidays. And y'all think about the people less fortunate over the holidays so you can come back refreshed. You're doing great work. I like what y'all just did to block what they were doing, which everybody knew.
Thank you, Ms. Moses. Merry Christmas. LJ Abraham.
Hello, LJ Abraham, 774 Melrose. I'm going to read, but I am going to say that we do have a problem with racism in Memphis, as the DOJ just pointed out. But funding a downtown command center as if a 73-page report detailing the abuses of the Memphis Police Department didn't come out just last week is insane. Regardless of a consent decree, the city council should be prioritizing community safety and working to implement immediate changes to MPD practices, starting with writing and passing ordinances that require quarterly audits of all special units for transparency, no longer requiring MPT to respond to mental health calls and producing the data transparency report this body passed last year that still has not happened. In these comments, we will compare the DOJ report findings and recommendations previously flagged by the People's Report. The first part is local data sources, including court records, crash data, law enforcement reports, traffic tickets, all point to common direction. Local law enforcement prioritizes offenses of least concern instead of dangerous behaviors to the detriment of public safety. Officers use disproportionate force against people who have committed at most minor offenses such as traffic infractions and use force even after people are restrained. The supervisor described the stats program as a joke that turned patrol enforcement into a game in which supervisors pitted against each other and officers made stops generated by stats rather than to address safety needs. MPD's traffic stops often involve equipment or documentation violations rather than dangerous driving behavior. In Memphis, the police department has adopted practices that led to significant racial disparities without examining whether these practices are necessary to achieve public safety and address violent crime. So what we are asking for is you guys to reconsider the command center going downtown, as we don't need any more policing. We clearly have a problem with police. We know that they abuse their power and they murder people. So please take into consideration not funding this project. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Abraham.
All right, Damon Curry Morris, 1529 Dunmore Road, Memphis, Tennessee, 38114. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. First of all, Councilwoman Cooper Sutton, I really applaud you for that mediation meeting that you had with me and Police Chief C.J. Davis. But when you got stuff right in front of your face and you refuse to look at it, what are we having meetings about, talking about police reform with all this stuff going on all over the city? Are you aware, and I don't go Councilman Canale, I know you were, I wish Councilman Carlisle was still here, because you need to call it what it is, okay? Call it what it is. I just sent Councilwoman Pearl Walker a video of a disabled person being abused and the police officer telling him, give up your conservatorship. That's not in your purview. And for the assistant to the chief of police look me in my face and then come out that meeting and tell a deliberate lie. This is the highest level of corruption I have ever witnessed in the city of Memphis, and I've been living here all 48 years of my life. The highest level. I'm sick of it. I know the citizens are sick of it. How much more do you need to see? We got videos, we got recordings, we got everybody talking about. Let me tell you something. I had the colonel of internal affairs tell me she wasn't playing with nobody's disability, was speaking as a person with a disability. 8 years, 2 months, 21 days on dialysis, and I fought this city while I was sitting in a chair getting my blood drawn out for 5 hours and 30 minutes 3 times a week. I'm tired of it. I'm sick of it. And you all can't see what's in front of y'all face. Somebody needs to do something, or I'm gonna do something.
Thank you, Mr. Morris. Brandon Dill. Brandon Dill.
Hello, my name is Brandon Dill. I live
live at 996 Blythe Street, 38104. The findings of the recently released DOJ report investigating the Memphis Police Department align almost directly with the findings of the People's Report 2024, Driving While BIPOC, and what the data and Memphians and activists have said for years. Also correlates that the MPD has a pattern and a practice of unlawful conduct that deprives people of their constitutionally protected rights. And the data is clear. We can speak to each report. From the People's Report, it says court records show almost no instances of traffic stops leading to convictions of serious crimes. And that's correlated by what the DOJ report says, where it says, quote, officers stop and detain people without adequate justification, that conduct invasive searches of people in cars. These practices not only undermine public safety, but they, quote, erode trust in law enforcement and result in cases getting dismissed by courts. The DOJ goes on to say that MPD officers stopped one driver in a high crime area, a quote unquote high crime area, because he backed into a parking spot at a gas station and left the car running. A federal court found officers had no reason to stop him, but there were no other factors other than that police believed he was suspicious, and because he was in a high crime area, this is indicative of the patterns and practices that the DOJ has found MPD conducts themselves in a variety of unlawful ways. They went on to say that officers stop and detain people without adequate justification, and they conduct even more invasive searches of people in cars, continuing to undermine public safety. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dill. Appreciate your comments. Joanne Selvage.
My name's Joanne Selvage. I live at 316 Hawthorne Street, 38112. I'm going to continue this comparison between the People's Report and the DOJ report. The People's Report said traffic fatalities seem unaffected by citations for non-moving violations, most of which are documentation issues. By comparison, the DOJ report says on pages 41 and 42, moreover, MPD data show that MPD's traffic enforcement has not meaningfully reduced vehicle crashes in Memphis over the past 5 years. The People's Report said specialized police units have emphasized non-moving violations in predominantly Black neighborhoods, even though this technique rarely uncovers serious crimes. The DOJ report concurs. On page 1, they said the police department has encouraged officers in specialized units, task forces, and patrol to prioritize street enforcement. The DOJ report also says MPD promotes saturation policing to flood certain neighborhoods with traffic stops. For example, the police department's gang response team, a specialized unit of officers who work in plain clothes, will saturate an area with zero tolerance enforcement and traffic stops. But officers target a particular neighborhood rather than trying to locate and apprehend specific suspects in gang-related crimes. The People's Report said, although Memphis has 2 to 5 times as many Black residents as white residents, Black people received nearly 4 times as many traffic tickets. In 2022, it was almost 5 times as many. White people are about half as likely as people of color to be cited for non-moving violation. The DOJ report concurs. On page 39. They say overall, MPD cites Black drivers for equipment violations at 4 to 5 times the rate of white drivers based on their share of the residential population. The People's Report says, end the use of specialized units. Start by disbanding specialized units for daily patrol. Use more cost-effective ways to bring safety to the streets. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Selvage. Michelle Keller. Michelle Keller. Michelle Keller.
Yes, there's 3 of us that want to speak on the same thing.
Okay.
And we had it in a particular order we wanted to speak, so I wanted to let her speak first.
Okay.
It's Laverne Gray.
Okay, Ms. Gray.
Good evening, everyone, and I'd like to express my thanks to you for this ability to express concerns that we have in the Raleigh-Fraser community and the groups that reside there also. I live at 7494 Timber Glen Lane. I used to be a resident of Fraser, but because of the horrible conditions that materialized, I did move, but I stayed with Old Allen, and now I'm a member of the ambassadors at Austin Peay. But my concern here, we have two distinct concerns tonight, and we're speaking of the assignment of a neighborhood watch in the form of civilian person, removing the officers, Officer Kimberly Naylor and Officer Curry, that have done a fantastic job. And it's so unsettling to the people that have engaged with them that we have been listed as number one because of what we do in the community, the collaboration of the stakeholders, the people that pay the taxes in those communities. And our goal, mine is mainly in education. As a registered nurse, I am allowed to educate the officers because we work according to our bylaws as a liaison between the officers to improve their morale, to volunteer there with time and money, and then as the stakeholders, as I said, to pay the taxes. So we have felt marginalized due to this, and we just want to extol the benefits of having Officer Naylor and Officer Curry at the Old Allen/Austin Peay precinct. I've been an ambassador since 2012, and I love it. I've seen 2 civilians that have come during my tenure. It has not worked. You have a person who is not qualified to do criminal things, and then when you try to get in touch with them.
Thank you, Ms. Gray. Who's next up? Is it Mrs. Keller?
Uh-huh.
All right. And then who's after that?
And then Ms. Cheatham.
I'm sorry.
Minutes do we have completely?
What was the last one? I'm sorry.
Cheatham. Okay. Ms. Cheatham.
Okay, I got it. All right, Ms. Keller.
Good evening. My name is Michelle Keller. I stay at 3152 Overbrook Drive, Memphis, Tennessee 38128. We stand before you this evening on behalf of the Fraser and Raleigh communities that are patrolled by the Austin Peay precinct. We have been made aware of proposed changes that will impact the successful collaboration that currently exists between the Austin Peay precinct and the Fraser and Raleigh communities. The proposed change that is supposed to occur is the replacement of Officers Curry and Naylor with a civilian community coordinator. Officers Curry and Naylor have done an excellent job of establishing a collaboration of community stakeholders and have worked together with us all to improve the safety of our communities. Community engagement, which you asked for, has increased as a direct result of their outreach and response to our concerns. It has been said on multiple occasions by other city leaders when they come to a Fraser or Raleigh meeting how engaged the citizens of these communities are, as we usually always have a larger turnout than other communities. There are tasks that they perform in collaboration with our neighborhood watch groups, business watch groups, Raleigh PGA meetings, and precinct ambassadors that cannot be done by a civilian. We see something, we say something, and because we say it directly to them, we get the feedback of knowing what is being done and seeing it done timely. We are therefore asking if you would reconsider this proposed change for our communities and allow for this successful collaboration to continue. The needs, wants, and solutions for one community may not be the same for another community. For us, we say if it isn't broken, don't fix it.
Thank you, Ms. Keller. Ms. Cheatham?
Hello, my name is Tamandra Cheatham, and I live at 2573 Cape Wood Drive. And I'm here standing with the Neighborhood Watch community in Raleigh and Fraser for the Austin P precinct and the removal of Officer Wayne Curry and Officer Kimberly Naylor. And it does not work, especially where I live. My home backs into Ridgecrest Apartments. Number of shootings. The most recent one was November 18th, 2024 at 3:48 a.m. Horrible. I'm a single mother. I have a young daughter, 14 years old, and Michael Eastern Thomas, you done heard the story. I told you about the story at Fraser, Ed Rice Community Center, okay? And we reached out to you a number of times. We are in danger. When I say we are in danger, we can't afford to have a civilian to reach out to when it comes to Neighborhood Watch. Officer Naylor and Officer Curry has been there for us and has provided help to us. A lot of them were not able to make it because we did this on a instant, because we can't afford, we can call Officer Naylor and Officer Curry and get them to come out there when it's shootings, violent. These young men have AK-47, the switch guns. My child have to tell me what type of gun it is. We literally had to get up on November the 18th and get on the floor at 3:48 a.m. Check the police records. A number of calls were made to 911. The police finally came out. They went into the Ridgecrest. But we are in danger over there. And no one has been out there to help us. Thank you. And we reached out also to C.J. Davis. Have not heard anything back. Yeah, I'm mad. I'm mad because I'm in danger and I'm in fear of our life. The whole community.
Yes, ma'am. To the three of you that were here on this one issue, well, one, we appreciate you taking time out of your evening to be with us. Councilwoman Logan, Councilwoman Easter Thomas are certainly willing to help. I'm also willing to help and see what we can do. I'm not sure what we can do within our authority, but we certainly will do what we can to help you out.
Chair, I was just about to say, I just spoke to Chief Adams, and he's going to reach out to Chief Davis, and he's going to get with them to make sure that their concerns are addressed. And we appreciate you all coming down to let us know. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Logan.
Thank you. Chief, is Chief Adams here? Oh, okay. And I think what the problem is, we approved, and I want them to know too, and I already shared with them, because Raleigh is my area, part of Fraser as well. And I think the issue is we passed a resolution or ordinance or a law to, when we were down police officers, this was before you all came, and we wanted them to go back and take a look at what areas civilians could handle, what areas officers could handle. And apparently from that time to now, they have restructured the Neighborhood Watch program, but didn't come back and notify us that it was being implemented, or not that they necessarily had to, but we were not a part of that process. So the officers were replaced with civilians, but there are some things that the officers did that civilians can't do, and vice versa. So I think that's where the gap is. But because it's such a critical time, and because crime is so heightened, it's not benefiting, or it's putting the community in danger. And I think there's a lot of information that we are lacking as a council. So that's something, and I did share with them that we are going to call a community meeting with Chief Davis to talk, because I've talked to her and the mayor about it. So we just need to inform the residents. All right, thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Joan Harp.
My name is Joan Harp. I live at 178 South Grove Park Road, and I'm in Spinoza's district, Mr. Spinoza, who cannot call me back, cannot answer an email. And I just want to say thank you to some of you. You've done some great things this year. You've had clothing drives, you've done haircuts, you've expunged records. But this crap at the Memphis Animal Service has to stop. Today, I'm here on behalf of Lamish Cannon, an African-American woman, disenfranchised, is in sober living. Her neighbor took her dogs to the shelter and surrendered them. They are A433706977 and 78 is their numbers. Within 48 hours, our illustrious interim director gave them to rescues. She went down there looking for them. They told her today to get a lawyer. This is the same woman who went to a foster's home and yanked a dog out of a foster's home because she made a mistake with the paperwork. $5.7 million. We've killed 2,000 dogs this year. Antonio Adams will tell you that they hide the budget in the executive division because it's sensitive. Who's making money off the euthanasia drugs? What's going on? No oversight committee for 2 years? Dogs drugged to their death? I sent you the video. When is change going to happen? See the movie Bonhoeffer. You know what he says? That's a guy who stood up for Jewish people, a Christian, and said, to see evil and do nothing is the same as evil itself. So when you spend Christmas and you're saying it's a blessed day and you're killing defenseless, healthy animals, a 9-month-old puppy drugged to the euthanasia room to be killed without even letting any rescue save it. Where is the humanity? Where are our tax dollars going? $5.9 million. Make it stop.
Thank you, Ms. Harp. Joe Kent. Mr. Kent, yes, sir.
Joe Kent, 5111 Flamingo. Regardless of whether $400 million in private funds was laid on the table, Seeding Success is asking for $1 billion in public dollars for MFM. Seeding Success, lacking transparency and measuring themselves, financial transparency, and measuring themselves is the problem. The MLGW board is like the former Matter board, focusing on all the glitzy distribution automation while not taking care of foundational basics in circuit breakers. Really, a 57-year-old circuit breaker has not been replaced in 5 years under the Way Forward plan. Keep squalling about the energy burden if you wish, okay? Keep talking about, oh, I'm so concerned about the energy burden. But real work on the burden happens at every council meeting and not a one-off to ward off forward-leaning rate pressure. Meanwhile, there are 10% electrical, 20% gas, and 75% water rate increases on the horizon yet to take hold. On the energy burden, start with stopping the $70 million engineering ops center when it comes before you. Okay, that's where you can start. Put $20 million in your pocket for rate relief for the early tree trimming finish. To think that there are some among you that actually led the council oversight botching of MATA are now advising you to blow off MLGW oversight as you are the rate-making body is just absurd. There are people that tell you, blow it off. There are people that tell you to blow it off, and they led the botching of the MATA. What do you think about that, Mr. Chairman? The people that led the botching of MATA.
Thank you, Mr. Kent. Glenda Hicks.
Good evening. Glenda Hicks, 608 Gillies, co-founder, 21st Century Memphis or Bust. I have had the opportunity of attending several meetings throughout the year as we come to year end, and have observed, have not always spoken, and certainly my focus has been on MLGW. But in the process of coming and observing, I have certain concerns. I had a conversation regarding the council's operative rules of procedure, and there are some things as to how this council flows in supposed benefit of the citizens of Memphis that concern me. We can see how many council representatives have exited today and are not present and often do not stay to hear comments from the public. That is a concern and simply says to me that what you have to say does not carry any weight. That is a concern. And then also when council members that represent the citizens have to recuse themselves on certain issues because of their job, that sounds like a conflict of interest, and certainly puts that individual in a position not to speak for the citizens that they are supposed to be representative of. I want to personally thank Councilwoman Cooper Sutton for her presenting concerns about the $50 million that was listed as miscellaneous. Documentation was presented to all council members, but thank you, Councilwoman, for coming forth.
Thank you, Ms. Hicks. Belinda Karush.
Good evening, Belinda Karush, 2160 Brown Avenue, Memphis, Tennessee, 38108. 2 minutes goes fast, so I passed out or had some handouts passed out with regard to what I'm going to discuss with you guys today. Imagine my utter outrage when I recently learned that I and other seniors similarly situated have been overpaying solid waste fees and sewer charges since the program began, to the tune of hundreds of thousands, possibly millions of dollars. No one seems to know this program exists. And I just happened upon it. I don't know what I was Googling, but I just happened upon it and found out rather than paying, I turned 65 in 2020. Rather than paying $29.96, I was eligible to pay $7.50. Rather than paying $41 as of August 2024, I'm eligible to pay $9.23. My concern is that this information was not distributed to the public. No one is aware that this program exists, and we are overpaying. It's hard enough on us already with our limited income, but for seniors who are 65 years and older with an income of $25,000 total household income, you are eligible to receive this discount. So I'd just like to say a few things real quick. I'd like to have this information on news releases or distributed so that everyone is aware of it and can take advantage of it. I'd like the 45-day waiting period waived with regard to this fee. And I think that is, and I'd like restitution with regard to everything that we have overpaid.
Thank you, Ms. Karush. Councilwoman Cooper Sutton.
Thank you, Chair. Is that true? Somebody just gave this to me.
Oh, yeah, it's true. You look on the city's website, and you will see that this program, and no one can tell me when the program began. I even called the director's office, but since he's only been in there for a short period of time, so to the best I've been able to discern, I think it began in either 2018 or 2014.
Thank
and
you.
We have been overpaying these fees.
Thank you.
And it's on the city's website. the solid waste application, the guidelines, all of that. It's on the city's website.
Okay.
Up until August 2024, the discounted rate for solid waste was $7.50. And as of August 2024, the rate is $9.23.
Thank you, Ms. Karush. Amber Sherman.
Saying, because y'all got this loud thing. I'm ready. My name is Amber Sherman. My address is 6070 North Belgrove Cove. It's really insulting that y'all are funding a downtown command center as if a 73-page report detailing the abuses of the Memphis Police Department didn't come out just last week. The City Council should be prioritizing community safety and working to implement immediate changes to MPD practices, starting with writing and passing ordinances that require quarterly audits of all special units for transparency, no longer requiring MPD to respond to mental health calls, and producing the data transparency report that this body passed last year as an ordinance that still has yet to have any report on any website publicly available to us. MPD officers use unjustified neck restraints on people exhibiting symptoms of behavioral crisis. In one case, officers offered a ride to a man at a gas station experiencing paranoid delusions that someone wanted to kill him. The man accepted the ride, but while he was waiting in the squad car, the officers discovered he had a misdemeanor warrant for theft. They pulled him from the car to arrest him, telling him, "You're fixing to get your A whooped." When he tried to get away, they repeatedly punched him in the head and body, then wrapped an arm around his neck to pull him to the ground and press his head and neck into the pavement. In over 90% of the incidents we reviewed involving neck restraints, neither officers nor supervisors reported the neck restraints. If mentioned in reports at all, officers described neck restraints simply as physical force. In one incident, the reviewing lieutenant colonel sent a use of force report to a frontline supervisor to research officers' omissions. The supervisor instructed the officers to add that there has been impact to the face and body-worn camera video shows that they punched the person. But the supervisor failed to identify or mention the two obvious neck restraints that the video showed during the same incident, and also omitted from the officer's reports. At the time of our review, no officer has used an unjustified neck restraint in the incidents from our sample and received discipline. The fact that the DOJ has reported multiple cases of folks being brutalized by police and this body has done nothing, not even gotten the police chief to produce a report, is embarrassing. Do better.
Thank you, Ms. Sherman. Gillian Winhold.
Hello, Jillian Wenhold, 3123 Carnes. Funding a downtown command center as if a 73-page report detailing abuses of the Memphis Police Department didn't come out just last week is irresponsible. And regardless of a consent decree, the City Council should be prioritizing community safety and working to implement immediate changes to MPD practices, starting with writing and passing ordinances that require quarterly audits of all special units for transparency, no longer requiring MPD to respond to mental health calls, and producing the data transparency report this body passed last year that still hasn't happened. But instead, we're wanting to reward these officers that literally can't even act like mature humans, and you're deciding to reward them with more shiny things when, according to the DOJ report, MPD officers escalate incidents involving minor offenses by responding to perceived insults, disrespect, or verbal resistance with unconstitutional force. First Amendment requires that police officers tolerate coarse criticism, though it may be difficult to bear. Kennedy versus City of Villa Hills, 635 F3D 210-216. But some MPD officers seem to believe that questioning their authority justifies force. As one supervisor told us, if somebody says, "I ain't under arrest," that's resisting right there. So again, we see police officers who can't even regulate their emotions enough to respond civilly towards criticism. And again, you're giving them more One officer reported that a handcuffed man's non-compliance justified using physical force. On body-worn camera video, the officer can be seen shoving the man to the ground just seconds after the man called him an asshole. After a traffic stop for expired tags, the driver told a different officer, "This is why people don't like the police," called him a racist. When she didn't immediately get out of the car when ordered, the officer pulled her out, handcuffed her, and pushed her forcefully against her car in front of her 6-year-old child. Again, if the police can't even keep their composure when doing simple things, obviously people don't like the police, but again, we can't continue to reward them.
Thank you, Ms. Winhold. Sarah Ann Kennison.
Hi, my name is Sarah Ann Kennison. I live at 2093 Cowden Avenue, Memphis, Tennessee 38104. Regardless of a consent decree, the City Council should respond to the DOJ report by prioritizing community safety and working to implement immediate changes to the MPD practices, including no longer requiring the MPD to respond to mental health calls. One of the DOJ's recommendations says to update emergency dispatching policies, procedures, and training to ensure the appropriate response for behavioral health calls. Modify the CARE program to begin dispatching without law enforcement to behavioral health calls when a police presence is not necessary. Modify policies to ensure that when police are necessary to respond to behavioral health emergencies, the appropriate number of police are sent. Embed behavioral health professionals within dispatch to de-escalate situations on the phone and determine the appropriate response. One example of the immediate threat posed by dispatch is the fact that there is a policy that mandates 3 officers be sent to any call that includes a plea for mental health support. By contrast, dispatchers may send 2 officers to 911 calls for robberies in progress, shots fired, or armed parties, but 3 for any plea for a mental health support. One dispatcher recalled an incident in which she sent 3 officers to a call from a parent seeking help with their non-violent child with ADHD because that was what was required in the policy. The DOJ also recommended that the MPD modify behavioral health training to ensure all officers are trained with a basic understanding of behavioral health disabilities, crisis, and de-escalation. This is why we call on the City Council to remove Memphis Police Department from all mental health calls. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kennison. Josh Adams.
Josh Adams, decarcerate Memphis, 1000 South Cooper Street. Cheerfully and gleefully throwing more money at the police department after this 73-page report comes out is extremely irresponsible. The City Council should be prioritizing community safety and working to implement immediate changes to MPD practices, starting with writing or passing ordinances that require quarterly audits of all special units for transparency, no longer requiring MPD to respond to mental health calls, and producing the data transparency report this body passed last year and still hasn't implemented. I personally was called to a traffic stop where a person was accused of stealing their tag. This turned out to be false. The charges were all dropped. According to and while people were there, who could have taken that person's car, this person's car was towed to the impound lot. They had to pay no less than $300 to get their car back. Their child was also held custody by MPD because MPD claimed that they abandoned their child while this person was in the back of a police car for a charge that they did not commit. The DOJ report says that contrary to MPD's own policies, officers tow cars that are legally parked or when family members or other licensed drivers are available to drive the car. MPD impounds hundreds of cars each month. And for a stretch in 2022, the police department impounded more than 1,000 cars per month. Chief Davis defended this tactic of seizing cars, explaining that when drivers engage in reckless driving and endanger others, we want to take your car too. She says you might be inconvenienced for 3 days without your car, but that's enough. But unlawful seizure of cars can have long-term negative impacts, as a car may be a person's lifeline, including a way to maintain employment. Stop funding MPD today.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. Shirley Ford.
together, the mother and I'm the grandmother.
My name is Mary Ford. I had two kids that get killed within 2 years. One was May the 11th of this year. After we left court May the 4th, but I had a son to get killed December the 1st, 2022. Both of them was my only two boys, and they was older, 21 and 20, would have been 25. My son killer got out in 2 hours on a $75,000 bond. He is still out because they say he's a snitch. We went to court and we was accused of something that we did not do, but they did not prosecute him, and he's still out on time. He's still out, and we have a bond hearing coming up again, but they didn't do nothing in the first bond hearing. I feel like the city is letting us down because I would never want no other mother to feel the way I'm feeling, so I wouldn't want nothing to be done to him. I forgive him in my heart. I just need justice and I need help. And we also was done wrong up in court. We was told that we was the reason why the killer had got shot 20-some times and by the judge. And as soon as we left court, May the 4th, my other son got killed May the 11th. And every time we go in the courtroom, we are threatened by people that's with him each and every time. They have come in there with ski masks, and we tell everyone, we be feeling like our life is threatened. We've been recorded going into the courtroom. We have been done wrong so many times just trying to get justice for my kids. And I also don't feel like that the judge, she should be held accountable for what she said to us. She told us that we was the reason that the guy got shot 20-some times while he was on the run for 11 months and I don't know how long. And he also went to jail while he had a warrant for my son, Kayvon Ford. He got a bond for $75,000. And then they didn't lock him up for this, so they went and found him again. They re-gave him that bond that he had at first, and he didn't ever get a bond for my son.
3 more crimes since then. 3 more crimes.
Ms. Ford, you both pulled cards. Did you want to speak as well?
Yeah.
Okay, before you speak, let me say I can't tell you how sorry I am from the bottom of my heart for your loss.
And today was the day I buried my son.
I can't imagine, and no one should have to bury a child. But if you'd stay after the meeting, and I'm going to let you speak, we can put you in contact with somebody in the DA's office that could possibly help you with that. We don't have any authority over the DA or over the judges, but we're happy to assist, get you in touch with the right people.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Ms. Ford, would you like to speak as well?
Yes, and I'm here today on behalf of the judge because of the concern about the judges breaking the law, and they need to be held accountable for their actions, because I feel like that's a felony for you to tell us that we committed a crime, and you feel like the one that killed our grandson should go home. But we'll never see our son again. And his children would never see him again. He got 3 beautiful boys. But you allow the killer to go home and be with his kids. And I just feel like we ain't gonna get no justice in there. The judge and the DAs are working together to keep the criminals on the street. Because when he got this $100,000, $100,000 and $50,000 bond, I felt like he should have been kept in jail after he done killed my grandsons, and plus he done flipped over a car on the interstate and almost killed another lady, 2 children, and he's still doing stuff, and he's still able to stay on the streets. It don't make sense. And when he killed my grandson, he was on probation. They went down and tried to get him violated for probation. They would not violate him. But if there had been me or any other charge, I would have been violated. And I don't understand. Because he's snitching for him, he still should be held accountable for killing, because you shall not kill nobody's children.
You're exactly right, and I agree with you 100%. If you all would stick around for just a minute after the meeting. Colleagues, that's the end of our public comment. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Moved and seconded. We are adjourned.